That's me.
Welcome to the Bureau of Medical News. Today I'm Koser. Today is November.
they will survive this tremendous injury that they sustained. Before I read it, congratulations, and you shall be very proud of yourselves and what you did for that young man. Whereas the mayor and council take great pleasure in honoring police officers of the Borough of Englewood Cliffs for their outstanding dedication and excellence of service. And whereas all citizens should know and understand the depth of the responsibilities of the police department, and the members of the police department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life. And whereas on October 22nd, 2024, at 9:53 a.m., Detective Lieutenant Cotton, Sergeant Demetrius Salagianis, Officer Daniel O'Shea, and Officer Mark Craples were dispatched to 111 Sylvan Avenue on a report of a fall victim. Whereas upon arrival, officers located a 45-year-old male victim lying supine on the lobby floor with an extensive amount of blood coming from his right leg and right arm. And whereas Officer O'Shea confirmed a compound fracture and applied a tourniquet, which significantly reduced the bleeding. And whereas prior to the arrival of the officers, co-workers of the victim, Miss Sarah Maxwell and Mr. Anthony Ogg, also rendered aid to the victim by removing his belt to craft a makeshift tourniquet in an effort to reduce the blood loss. Advanced life support and basic life support units from Englewood Hospital were dispatched, responded, and assumed care of the patient. And whereas, due to the immediate actions taken by Mrs. Maxwell and Mr. Ogg and the life-saving efforts of officers, the victim survived the approximately 50-foot fall and is recovering. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Borough of Englewood Cliffs Mayor and Council honors Detective Lieutenant Benjamin Totten, Sergeant Demetrius Salagianis, Officer Daniel O'Shea, and Officer Mark Craples, and express their sincere appreciation for their work of humanity. Congratulations, Dennis.
Take photos.
Fancy, yes, that, but I like the secondary. Oh,
The picture.
I guess I'm still on council.
Thanks. Great.
March.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
All right, sure.
it.
Sir. All right, LT. Yeah. Yeah. See you. Yeah.
I have tissues. Oh, you want a glass of water?
No, good. I had mine already.
Once again, all of your dedication to service. Let's move on this agenda.
Sorry.
No.
Let's move on. Police chief is not ready. Identify department. Of course. He's ready. Yes, okay. Let's go.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Well, the latter half of November was certainly a lot easier than the first half of November with the Palisades fires. Ultimately, they were successfully extinguished. We have nonetheless had a busy November. We've had car fire as well as extrications, as well as multiple people who tried but failed to cook on Thanksgiving. So luckily, no one's holiday was ruined. For December, we're just hoping to have a nice quiet end of the year. The Santa Around Town event, in which our members go around with fire trucks dressed as cartoon characters for the children. That's going to be on Saturday, the 21st, and we'll just coordinate with social media and you guys to put that out there. And it's a fun and enjoyable event that everybody has fun.
Good.
The 2025 chief officers for the department. My brother will be moving down to assistant chief, and I will be chief of department for 2025. Captain Nico Briziotis, who was here before, and Lieutenant Nick Dramones, who will be our line officers for 2025.
Great.
And we look forward to another productive year, and everybody stay safe and healthy. And if there are any questions, I wish you guys happy holidays and happy New Year.
Chief?
Yeah.
Chief, we're applying for a grant. If you could just give a little detail on that grant that we're applying for.
So the Federal Emergency Management Association has a grant for firefighters that has opened up. Basically, the application date is the 20th, and we are working with Jerry and Millennium Consulting to get a grant proposal put together, which should. We've been told by Millennium that we are in a high probability of at least getting some funding for stuff based on our needs. This would be primarily for turnout gear as well as SCBA air packs. The approximate grant amount we're looking for is between $150,000 and $200,000, which could go a long way. But anything that they do give us would be helpful. But Millennium, they are very well versed in this, and fingers crossed that we get some positive success out of it.
Yep, very good. So this is equipment, right? So we buy trucks, but this is equipment that needs to be replaced on a very routine basis.
Yeah. Firefighter turnout gear has a mandatory shelf life of 10 years. Basically, through use and through basic exposure, the elements inside that protect firefighters breaks down. And it's just like a set of shoes that you have, they will wear out eventually. And NFPA has established strict guidelines in this case that say that gear needs to be expired after 10 years. Unfortunately, we have some gear that's currently in use that is above that threshold. We're working to replace it, but a new set of gear for a typical person is about $8,000 a set. And it adds up, especially when you have, 30, 35 members who actively need it. So we're hoping to get ahead of it. And with the grant money, if it's successful, it would dramatically benefit not only the department, but also the taxpayers as well.
Yep. Thanks, Andy.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you again for recognizing us this. As I mentioned last month, I'd like to remind the public that it is typical burglary season. The days are shorter, the nights are longer, houses are vacant more frequently. We've been very fortunate so far this season, but I want to get that reminder out there. Package thefts, burglaries, things like that. This is the time of year it happens. So we have it on our message boards. We also have it on our social media platforms. So everyone, please lock your doors, turn your lights on, set your alarms, and most importantly, if you see something, say something. Councilman, I got your email about the feline incident in South End. So I have a little bit of information on that. We don't have much to go on, but for those of you who don't know, there was a animal abuse case in the South End a few weeks ago. We were notified of a cat that was shot with a pellet gun. Unfortunately, it breaks my heart. I am a love it myself, so we do take it seriously. We do have a animal cruelty officer. Every department is required to have a animal cruelty officer that specializes in that. So this case has been referred to Lieutenant Ford. He is still working on gathering as much information as he can. Once he feels like he's reached or he's accumulated as much as he can on this, he will notify the county. Unfortunately, we don't have much to go on. Like I said, it's a pellet gun, and it's an indoor-outdoor cat. So this didn't even necessarily occur in the confines of Englewood Cliffs. It's an outdoor cat. It could have, being that it's right on our south border, it could have actually happened in Fort Lee. There's no way for us to know.
Yeah.
Either way, very, very sad. We'll do our best. I'm sure several of you have heard recently the drone sightings are on the rise around North Jersey. It is something that the PD is aware of, and at levels higher than us, they're also aware of it. Some of it is concerning, but many UAS or unmanned aircraft are they're called hobby drones, which is not what we're worried so much about. Those tend to be operated by teenagers and young adults. It's the larger drones that have potential spy capabilities that we're a little bit concerned about. So any sightings, you can call our police desk. I have a QR code in every patrol car. The way the system is designed to report to the FBI, we will bring you the QR code. You can scan it with your phone, and then it's intended for self-reporting so that you can upload any photos or videos that you may have taken of the suspicious drones. And the FBI will take it from there. Just mentioning young adult, I just want to circle back to the cats real quick.
Mhm.
Based on the timeline of that occurrence, it was reported to us at 2:30 in the afternoon. So based on the time frame of the occurrence with the cat, we don't believe that it was a juvenile. We think it was probably an adult because it was during school hours. So we've at least limited it down to, the immediate thought is that it's a mischievous teenager, but unlikely due to the hours that it occurred.
It's even more concerning.
Yeah.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
the cat was found as, I understand, under a bush. Would it have been shot at that spot? Under that, do you know where the bush was? And
I believe it was in the neighbor's bush. There's no way to know. It could have happened one house over. Or
Okay.
As I understand, I'm not a cat expert, but from those that I've spoken to, generally outdoor cats stay within a radius of 1,000 feet.
Okay.
So you're approaching a quarter of a mile at that point,
Yeah.
which is why there's no way for us to even decipher whether it was in the Englewood Cliffs or in the South Shore. So it could have been as close as one house away, or as I understand it, they tend to travel up to about 1,000-foot radius. And
With a bullet in or with a
Yeah.
pellet in them, they
Yeah.
can do that.
So my suspicion is that it was injured somewhere and made its way back home
Yeah.
because that's where it's
Okay.
feels safe.
All right, thanks.
So it was a pellet though, right, Chief?
Pellet gun.
A pellet gun, no.
Pellet.
Oh, that's rough.
Are you? recording?
I'm reporting, yeah. I'm reporting.
The borough administrator forwarded to me a traffic study conducted by Neglia, which I found very helpful and interesting. It's regarding the speed on Floyd Street. I know there was some debate about the lining of Floyd Street once it's paved. What I found most interesting is although it's a small sample of the speeds that were taken, I found it very interesting that the average speed was actually 25 miles.
Mhm.
So.
Good.
Of course, there are some outliers, approaching the mid-30s, but, for the average speed of all of those speeds, collected to come to the actual speed limit is pretty remarkable. So, I say this, I feel like month after month, everybody thinks everybody's speeding on every street. Are there outliers? Yes, but generally speaking, and Floyd is a straight run, so if you're gonna hit high speeds anywhere, it's gonna be there. And so for the average speed to land right on the speed limit, we must be doing something right.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy about that.
I agree.
Thank
Oh, so,
you.
Mateo.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Chief, if I can amplify to that, so a couple of council members were asking about the double yellow line, that'll be maintained on that. We'll also be adding what I call a fog line, which is a line that basically a white line on the right shoulder that creates a 12-foot drive lane to give you the perception of slowing down as well, right? So I did have a conversation and a couple of emails. So the PSE&G contractor is going to add those white lines. I thought they would be our responsibility, but the PSE&G contractor, line striping contractor, is going to add those as well. So that'll be good. And then we'll do the sign survey to make sure that our signs are reflective and also, spaced apart properly. So.
And by the crosswalks, I hope we can get some really bright zebra crosswalks.
Crossing, yeah.
And also on
Talking about thermoplastic. Yeah, the
thermoplastic
stuff that
with
lasts,
the
yeah.
diamond dust in
Right,
it.
exactly, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I think that's needed in many different areas in town, and I think you had done some work on that already. So I think the residents would be very pleased to see a visible difference in the safety. And the more visible differences in the safety, I think the more satisfied residents will be.
I agree. Easy stuff for us, low hanging fruit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have just a few more quick items. For community events, I was contacted by the local Girl Scout troops. This is kind of a fun initiative. This is the first year we're doing it. They reached out to me. They're having a toy drive at the community center this coming Sunday, the 15th, between 3 and 5 p.m. And the Girl Scout troops were looking for something to do with the toys that they collect. They reached out to me, asked us if we were doing a toy drive, and they have very generously offered to donate their collection to our collection. So it's a great partnership. I'm happy to collaborate with them. So after their toy drive on Sunday, we'll take in their donation and we will bring it on December 19th up to Closter, which is where they collect all of the toys from all of the locals in the area. And I've seen them leave that collection site, and it is trailers and trailers and trailers of donated toys to go to folks that are less fortunate.
That's great. Good stuff.
Really, really cool initiative this year. Secondly, another community outreach event. Yesterday was an event called Wreaths for Our Heroes. That's an event for the Chiefs Association. We go out to the Veterans Home in Paramus. We honor all the veterans and sing Christmas carols for them. As you can imagine, it's probably a very lonely place during the holidays. So just a little way to bring some holiday cheer to the veterans. And at the conclusion of the ceremony, each town is presented with a wreath that we bring back and post at our Veterans Monument. So you may see it in front of the firehouse. Finally, Officer Rossi, who was sworn in last month, he'll be starting the police academy next month. So very exciting. And that's all I have. I'd like to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah and a Merry Christmas.
Chief, one thing. So today I was having email conversation with Councilman Liang, and I was on a demo for a platform, an AI platform, and we pulled up Inglewood Cliffs, and I learned that we get approximately 4,000 visitors to our community during the week, each day. So it's not only do we have and ask our police department to protect 5,700 residents, but there's an additional 4,000 every single day that commute to our community and work here and shop and mostly work. So It's impressive. It's
I
impressive.
can actually go one further than that.
Yeah.
Many years ago, we did a traffic study at the intersection of Sylvan and Palisade.
Uh-huh.
And at that intersection, at that time, 46,000 cars a day traveled through that intersection.
1,000. Wow.
46,000. So although they're only in town for a brief moment,
Right.
that's 46,000 more people who may have a medical emergency or
Right.
any other emergency for them. So we're policing a lot of people.
Yeah. This platform was aware that these 4,000 individuals were here for at least a half hour. So typically, you're not just passing through for a half hour. Right. Yeah. It's amazing.
That's in addition.
Yeah. It's crazy. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great holiday.
Yep.
Thank you.
Recreation Department, Mark Sango.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council.
Hi, Marco.
So this month's update will be brief. We kicked off pretty much all of our winter activities for the month of September as we carry over to the new year. Very much focused on basketball. So I'll just provide you kind of up to date in terms of where we are with respect to registration numbers. Our travel program, we have 40 kids that are registered for that program. Okay. For boys recreation basketball, we have 77 kids that are registered for the program. And that has, and both those programs have kicked off with practices and in short order we'll start to carry over the games. We have 21 kids that have registered for the kindergarten through the second grade clinic. That doesn't start until after the new year, so we expect that those numbers will be able to pick up. We've also started our girls cheerleading program. At this time, we have 18 girls that have registered. This is a new program. We're pretty excited about this. Those practices have been occurring in the community center. And the plan is that these girls will be cheerleading at select basketball games where it will be travel rec. So we're really kind of happy about this. And we've also just kicked off senior exercise classes for the winter, right? That encompasses about 12 classes. Right now we have 10 people that have registered at this time. We expect those numbers will increase now that we finally
Where am
have
I
heat in our
back now?
community center.
Let's check.
Thanks to those studies for that. One more noticeable update or noteworthy update is that I was able to get an extension with the Holy Name School of Nursing to continue to use their gym. Given the gym constraints that we have at the upper school. So this will fill a much needed gap for some of our carryover practices.
The camera's fine, but it's this thing
looking
that's.
to practice. And the great part about this is the gym is the school is not going to be charging
No background.
to use their gym, which is awesome. And I don't have any questions. Any questions?
Anybody?
No, I just want to say remarks from one of the parents going to the cheerleading class. They're very happy with this program.
Good.
So,
That's blurry too.
good for you.
No, I'm excited. I'm excited. I open up the doors for them and you can see the old girls are excited.
Both
So we're getting ready. So
Mhm.
a lot of supplies, the cheerleading uniforms. We prepared a logo. Pretty much I prepared a new logo to kind of give a fresh look to our uniforms, both for basketball as well for cheerleading. So we're really all excited about that. So appreciate that.
Who's the instructor cheerleading program?
It's
A lady from somewhere?
yes,
Yeah.
it's Renee.
I will
Oh,
touch
okay.
base
From
next
our
year.
town.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, Renee Vasili. I mean, that's her maiden name, but
Yeah.
Fundikitis, Renee
Yeah.
Fundikitis, her daughter's in the program. And she's great.
Okay, thank you so much.
With these people.
Thank you.
Oh, God, yeah.
Holidays, Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
I'm glad you saw that.
Gary?
Yep.
Take it over, yeah,
So I don't have DPW. I'm sorry. So Mark was called away. He has a family member who's ill, and he went to go visit that individual, a close family member, immediate family. So I asked him for a report, but he must have been so busy today that he didn't provide. But I can do my administrator's report if you want, Mayor.
Yes.
Okay, so as the council knows, I've been working with the closed caption TV and the videotaping of the pipe, of the stormwater pipe that we did in October. I've also discussed what we need to do with our engineer, who will provide a few details about his report in a few minutes after mine. But in the coming months, we'll be working on locations where illicit connections have been discovered. So with each closed caption TV investigation we do, the number of discoveries continues to increase. Council members know what I'm talking about. I shared those pictures with the protruding connections into our stormwater and pipes. And what that does, it just basically holds back flow and is a place where debris can collect. And so that's definitely a problem. So what I'm going to do and what I've done in other communities, which just takes a lot of time, as I explained, we'll start to do field work as the weather allows, which will have to go. I have the locations of these, but I don't have the surface location. I have the subsurface locations. I have between manhole and manhole. I know how many feet from one manhole to another that video was taken and where that picture that I shared with you is. I just have to bring that up and see potentially where it's coming from, which property, which house, which business it's coming from, right? So I have to do a lot of field work, and I'll be volunteering some of the DPW members to come out with me. The borough will notify the residents in writing. From there, we'll set up meetings with the property owners. So once we notify them, then I'll set up meetings with them and I'll explain to them, and that'll be a site meeting in front of their house or business. So we'll be asking them for corrective actions. We'll be doing that. I'll be asking them to take out a permit so that the permit can do inspections, right? So we can have the permit, have the fee from the permit, and then the permit will trigger inspection. So we make sure that it gets done and they're not just telling me, yeah, we finished it, everything is fine. And then anyone not willing to comply, I'll have to take them to court, right? So
Jerry, the cost of the inspection is they're gonna pay for it or we're gonna pay for it?
they're going to pay with the permitting, Philip. That's how we collect inspection fees, right? From the permit, right? So they'll pay for the permit, and that will offset the inspections.
And I see a lot of pictures. What does the schedule look like? 3 months, 4 months, 5 months to finish your side of the job?
So my side, what I just explained in letter A through E here is 3 months. In 3 months, I'll know which residents are unwilling to do what we're asking them to do. And then at that point, we'll trigger the court issue appearances, for the court. And then I'll have to appear before the court to explain why we issued that citation. So 6 months is a good window. I'll have the bulk of it in 3 months. The outliers, month 4, 5, and 6. Okay.
In the winter, does it disturb you, the snow or?
No. No, because I have everything that I need underground already. I just need to measure 159 feet, for example, from the manhole that we entered out. And then I need to see which house that pipe could be going through, and then I need to match up, right? It's a lot of work, right? So as I said, I will be volunteering some DPW employees, whether they like it or not. I'll be asking for the approval of an additional $44,000 from Vortex Pipe Cleaning so that I can continue to do more streets, right? I shared with you some of the streets that we have. We still have a bunch of other streets to do. We have about 7 of the known trouble areas still remaining. So that work will be done in early 2025. I pulled Vortex away from the job because of leaf season. So then I'll be returning them there. One item towards the end of this year, this is our last meeting of the year, but since April 10, early in April, to the council's credit, they passed a new NJDEP mandated tree law. We have issued 38 private tree removal permits, of which I've done the inspections. And there were 7 of those permits that I denied. Okay. I denied them because typically the individuals have issues with acorns falling on their sidewalk or other things of that nature, but the tree is in fact very healthy. If a tree is producing acorns, it's extremely healthy. So I won't allow that tree to be cut. As everyone knows, the borough also allows developers of lots, or if there's a house that they're removing and then putting up a new house, we allow them to remove trees in the construction envelope, including pools. And I've done 9 brand new property or brand new home build plan reviews. Typically, and I don't know this for sure, but typically every tree would be cleared. But I counted up today on the 9 permits that I reviewed, I was able to save 11 significantly large trees, right? So there's a system, right? I have a certification. I have a lot of education towards that certification, and I use that to make sure that we can save as many trees as possible. If the trees are not doing well, if the tree is not a good tree, I encourage people to take it down and because it's a safety matter. Revenue. So we're getting towards the end of the year, and our CFO is here with us. But I do want to congratulate the building department and the police staff for their focus on revenue in 2024. For example, to date, the building department has realized over 5 times the revenue than we collected last year. So we are in excess, significant excess of the fees that we've collected. A lot of that has to do with the fee schedule that council was able to pass in the beginning of the year, but also because we added 140 new fees from that other municipalities were charging that we were not charging, as well as updating our fees. And then, of course, there's a lot of construction going on in town. So we're definitely, my estimate for this year was about $750,000. That's what I used to convince you to hire Gino. We're well above that, 2.5 times above that, right? So we're doing really well. Cybersecurity compliance. Much to everyone's dismay, we have to do a second or double authentication. I can't stand it as well. But we're almost finished with our process. We're about 95% complete. The reason we're doing it is because the JIF is very concerned about cybersecurity for municipalities. And so they were threatening, or they have threatened in the past, to hit us with a 10% surcharge, right? So what we did was I asked council, and you approved $40,000 expenditure for our multi-factor authentication, as well as some other upgrades to our servers. And we're doing really well with that. So it's for it's for our employees, council elected, and also our volunteers. We're also working on the police as well. While I was at dinner this evening, I received an email from the JIF where I think in July I sent you an email, somewhat shocked at the fact that we have a $350,000 deductible. And I said at my next JIF meeting that is, just way out of line. I mean, it's outrageous. So we're trying to be good boys and girls. We're trying to do the right thing. I was able to express that since July, and we received a reduction of $200,000. So now we're at $150,000 as our deductible, right? So a lot of other communities, they're a little bit lower than that, but yeah, we're doing what we can. We're doing what we can. And then you want to talk about Summit today?
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't want to take that away from him because that's a good one.
So, can you tell us the total, how much the town spent on the sewer system, on the
For sure. Right.
I know I see invoices, but I don't know the total.
Yeah, it's $470,000 to date. Okay, is what has been approved for it, and then I'll be asking for an additional $44,000 contract next year. The $500,000 for us to focus. No, so everything is below the surface, and now I'm going to start to bring the issues above surface now. Yeah, because I'm gonna really have to be as delicate as I can to these residents who have probably not their fault, but I'm not really sure how things progress, that have illegally connected to our storm system. And I understand that maybe gutters and driveway drains are, but I also saw in those photographs some sanitary sewer as well. And that is really bad, right? Because our stuff goes straight into either Flat Rock Brook or into the Hudson River. And so those are the ones that I will focus on first.
That's
Yeah,
absurd.
tell me
they
about
would
it, right.
be, putting raw
But what you
sewage.
don't see, you don't know. And that's where the problem is.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
One more question, if I may, are you?
Yeah.
The smoke test and all the tests regarding, Hudson Terrace and, Sylvan Avenue.
Have all been completed.
Yes,
The engineer's estimate for everything except Sylvan Avenue is somewhere in the neighborhood of $2 million in rehabilitation work that needs to be done. I don't have Hudson Terraces. I'm sorry, I don't have Sylvan Avenue estimate yet.
so you're talking, you said Hudson Terrace is only,
So Hudson Terrace and the rest of the town,
and the rest of the town.
right? We're about $2 million in rehab work that needs to be done. I don't have the report on the engineer's estimate for Sylvan Avenue. I've asked for that. It's not ready yet.
That's Boswell.
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
And that was just completed like less than a month ago.
Okay, so we're waiting on Boswell for that. That's crucial that we
Yep.
get that. And the other work that needs to be done in town on the sanitary sewers, that does not need to be done all at once. Am I correct?
Right. The sanitary sewer is what I'm talking about with the $2 million estimate.
Right,
That doesn't need to be done all at once.
so we can spread that over a few years. So
Correct.
that's good news.
Correct.
All right, very good.
Mhm.
One more question that I had, which I just lost. All
right, take your time.
Yeah.
Any other questions before we turn it over to Mateo? Okay, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As Producer had mentioned, we have met with I met with
That's great.
him earlier last week to discuss the drainage study. He has indicated the 6 or 7 roads that they want to focus in. So now we're going to take that those areas and start looking in depth and seeing what needs to be upsized, what needs to be repaired, what needs to be constructed. For the borough mapping, we continue to go out there and map out every inlet, every manhole, every stormwater infrastructure that we see in order to help conduct this drainage study. As police chief and borough administrator had mentioned, we went out sometime in November to do a speed study on Floyd. We found out that 85% in the 85th percentile, the drivers were within 5 miles per hour of the listed 25 miles per hour. In our report, we recommend adding a fog lane, which is about 4 feet off the curb in order to narrow the roadway travel lanes from 16 feet wide of the direction to 12 to help reduce the speeding. And then the last thing that we had was today we received a letter from DOT for Summit Ave, which we helped the borough submit for a municipal aid grant. The borough received about $190,000 of grant money in order to repave Summit Ave. And then 5th Street, we are currently talking with utility
Can't hear. Who muted him?
We can't hear.
Who muted him? Can anybody hear?
I can hear you, David, but I don't know if they hear us.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Jesus.
We can't hear in the those of us who are online, David. We can't hear anything.
Well, I'll be to the sign die meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll be here on January 5th if you want to really say goodbye to him.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
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 Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
Years of service. Frankly, I'd like to thank all of you. I think this is a pretty thankless job. I don't know why any of you want it, but
It's a lot of fun, Dan.
I'm glad that you're doing it and I don't have to, but thank you very much. All of you. Getting to you've talked a little bit about the clean out status and the work that Megan is doing. Generally, I'd like to ask just that we have some additional transparency. That's no accusation at all.
Sure.
I think there's a lot of people that are trying to understand what is the scope,
Mhm.
how much has been done. I know that there's been clean outs going on, but I don't know where all we've addressed. And like, I'll just speak for myself. My particular situation, I'd like to know if anything was found there, to see if the situation was improved.
So I can explain a little bit, Mayor. So Dan, so we'll pause your time. So generally the catch basins and the pipe are fairly clean, right? But we're jetting it and we're vacuuming it. What we're finding now is that there are connections from the property owners, probably their downspouts, other connections from their property that are going into our pipe. The pipe is typically, not in all cases, but typically concrete. And what we have now are pictures that I've shared with our attorney and with our borough, our council, where people have cracked through that pipe and stuck a pipe in there, right? And so, right, through the actual storm drain pipe, right? And so what happens is it's not the cleanest connection. In some spots, it's pretty clean, but in some spots, we have a 3-inch or 4-inch pipe that goes right into the pipe, causing potentially an area where debris can block when we have heavy rains and storms like we had this summer. Those things have to be rectified, right? So I'm looking at places like that. I did find a few on your street. I found more on other areas than I thought I would have. But the number of findings is significantly concerning, and so I have a lot of work to do. And so you'll see me on your street, talking to residents and looking at things. So I need to rectify those so that we have a clear path, right? Negley is working on the capacity, but the capacity is pretty much thrown out when you have all sorts of pipe blocking, the actual flow of the water That's really what that pipe's there for, to move water, right? So that's what we're looking for right now.
If I'm understanding you correctly, hopefully residents will be able to change and comply.
Yeah.
I will say in the work that I've done around town, just looking at different situations, I have not seen a house yet that doesn't have either an outlet either directly into the street or into a nearby catch basin. Usually what I've seen, I don't have access underground. So I don't know if you're talking about trying to rectify all those situations or just the ones that are intruding on pipes, but
The ones that are intruding on the pipes. That's my focus, and the catch basins, right? So into the system. So anything that goes into the street, and like kind of like sandwiched in the curb, I'm not concerned about that because that's not preventing the pipe from flowing properly. The capacity of the pipe is not compromised in any way, Dan. That's what I'm concerned about.
I'm wondering if the problem is so widespread that maybe we should have some kind of, I would suggest we have some kind of a separate hearing and discussion about it because I think it's going to be widespread.
I don't think anybody knows, or the individuals who live there probably don't know because some of the homes were built a long time ago. But it would be one-on-one. I'm going to be doing one-on-one conferences with the residents. So
I mean, that's part of the problem, right? Is we don't know what was authorized and what wasn't. Because I can only speak for my own situation. I don't know what was authorized as part of the building. The city doesn't have copies of the as-built site plan. So
I can't get hung up on that. What I want to do is move forward and just rectify the situation so that I have pipe that can move water throughout the whole community to the largest extent possible. That's what my goal is.
Well, number one, time's up.
Oh, sorry. I think he was timing me. I apologize.
Did you have one more question?
yeah, well, I'd asked that my 5 minutes would be interrupted. But yeah, on the sewage and drain work, again, same question. What's the scope? What's the status? And then I had asked, we talked about like a flood subcommittee or something. If that doesn't seem to be moving forward, I keep getting kind of glad-handed on that. So I would at least like to be able to speak with Neglia about the various situations that I've seen around town, just to make sure that they're fully aware of the scope of the problems. I know you guys have had those conversations, but I think a lot of situations occur that are not obvious from the paperwork, unless you've actually seen it or seen the video or kind of know what the flows are.
So you're welcome to talk to me. So Mateo charges by the hour. I charge by the week. So mine probably a little bit more reasonable.
So I pay you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. So you can talk to me, and if I need to engage Mateo, I will, of course. But we can start to have a dialogue if you want to. Yeah. Thank you.
I have Ms. Savari's got her hand up in there, but I just wanted to, I think it's timely now to ask who is it. My understanding, Jerry, is that they're actually breaking the concrete and putting a hole in it and then putting a pipe through it.
Yeah, I can't answer the who.
Because
I don't know who it is.
Because I looked at some of those pictures and I was like, that's not a resident that is doing that in the middle of the night. That is a contract or a builder or a contractor that's saying, break a hole into the municipal owned pipe underneath the ground and actually putting a pipe in there. The developer is probably raking it in because he doesn't have to worry about an underground retention tank or doing any kind of landscaping. So this seems to be like a money grab for builders, a convenient way of draining a new house that's got a larger footprint than a smaller house, putting a hole in there, and then nobody knows the difference until the town finally, thanks to all of us on the council and yourself, get the companies to go underneath and take a look and see what's hiding underneath the ground.
Like I said to Dan, it's probably going to take and probably be somewhat fruitless. It's going to take too much time to do that investigation. I really just want to rectify it. And it's not that my intention is to, absolve the property owner. It's their responsibility now. Sure. We have to kind of negotiate how this is going to get done.
Sure.
But yeah, go ahead.
Assume that any of the, I guess, intrusions, stormwater system was not authorized.
Right.
Because
I would have to
it
assume
can't
that,
be. It
Chris.
can't be.
I would have to assume that. You're right. But right. So I don't know if it's the homeowner's fault. I don't know if it's the developer's fault. If you've ever met my dad, it's definitely my dad's fault because my dad's, kind of loose with the law. But I really don't know. But right now, because we're a community that should not be flooding the way we flood, I have to resolve these issues and then kind of move forward to make sure that the safety of the community is paramount.
And we have to also make sure that the buildings that are presently in progress
Right.
are not poking a hole in the community, meaning
Correct.
communities flood system.
Correct.
So I would imagine that developers in town, and I see houses going up all over, are making a larger footprint of the house, having less area for underground tank to store the water or whatever they do to offset what's coming off of their larger roofs. So I would hope that Gino and building department are going to be absolutely vigilant about that.
So as I said, I reviewed the plans as well now
You do.
for the arborist portion of it.
Okay.
And every plan that I have has significant retention. Most of it, although there's not much of a front lawn, some of it is in front lawn, but most of it is under the driveway and under the pavers and under the walkways, right?
Okay.
So you'll see it on the plan, or I'll see it on the plan, and the plans that I reviewed all have it,
Okay.
right? I'm not there when it's getting constructed, but all the plans that are reviewed have it where the retention is on the property.
Yeah,
And
this is the public session, and we are still waiting, we have a public waiting.
Yeah.
Oh, we have Debbie.
Okay,
You
yeah.
know, we, if
I'm
we
sorry.
have that kind of conversation, we,
Okay, so let's-
Does Debbie want to
Debbie
public?
wants to speak, yeah.
Okay, hold on a second.
Yeah. Can you
Okay,
hear me?
I think, Debbie, you can speak. You might be unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Wait a second. Hold on. We got the wrong output here. Debbie, just hold 1 second.
Okay.
Oops. We gotta go to speaker.
Cat splitter?
Debbie, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay,
great.
now we can
Okay,
hear
we're
you.
good.
Thank you. That's
Thanks.
You're better than me. Why didn't you do this?
I know,
with me?
I
I've been
just-
spending all-
I don't know if I'm better than you. Sorry, Debbie.
That's okay. Good evening, everybody. Deborah Sabari, 106 Hollywood Avenue. I had sent a letter to the mayor and council. It's a few weeks ago now. I am working remotely out of Mexico, but Billy and Karen are working very closely on the situation going on at Whitty Field with the lights. I have sent emails to Bernie. We have tried calling Mark various times. We've been up to, when I say we, I'm talking about Billy and Karen now, have been to the park, have met with PSE&G. I'm trying to get the price that Land Tech is going to charge the borough to do the work. We know we have to do the work. Was it planned? No. It's not something we as a committee knew about. And that's okay. You know what? Put that behind us. It's got to happen. So why can't I get a price? I keep asking, and I don't understand. Like, if this committee can't get any response from Bernie or Mark, because my understanding is Mark is handling this now, it's an issue. Like, how do we get these parks done with no participation from anybody on the mayor and council or the professionals? What's going on with the lights? How much is Land Tech going to charge us to run the conduit and the electrical wiring and the concrete pads that have to be put in? Have we gotten a
Debbie, to date, we don't have a price. And I did get a email, I think it was from Bernie, that he's out this week or he's out a couple of days. And Mark was called away. So Mark and someone from Boswell and PSE&G and Jimmy from Land Tech met last week. We confirmed that there were 20 bases. I confirmed that there were 20 bases that needed to be priced out and quoted. to date, we don't have that price yet.
Well, the
I know,
engineering drawings had to be redone. They have to revise the drawings to reflect the additional work that needs to be done. Beside that, there's an issue with a couple of lampposts that they'd have to cut through the asphalt that's already been put down. So I suggested to Billy when I spoke to him, I said, reach out because maybe we don't need those extra lights. You know, we have a completely different type of lighting system going in. It's like nobody is communicating with Billy or Karen or myself. And I understand, Jerry, that it's not you're not dealing with it, but somebody needs to deal with this. I mean, Lantec is going to murder us with a price on this because it should have been in the drawings. It should have been there from the beginning, and it wasn't. But let's get the price. This has been going on for weeks, not a week, weeks. So, I mean, please, when Billy calls out or Karen calls out, somebody needs to respond. I'm here, I'm working from here, so I'm on top of it. But there's nothing to be on top of if nobody is going to respond. Now, this mayor and council and Jerry, I know, Jerry, you've got, it seems like a ton of stuff that you're working on. And I appreciate that that probably takes a lot of your time. But somebody else needs to step up to the game then. Because somebody needs to call Lantec. If Bernie isn't doing it, Bernie's gone for a week now. So what? The whole world shuts down because Bernie went away? What about Joe? What about somebody else in his office? And this is not okay. It's just not okay. I don't know what it's doing to the schedule. I've asked for updates from Bernie. We're not getting them. This council should be very concerned that you're paying a professional who's not doing his job.
Okay, we're gonna to push them. Jerry, who is in charge about this order?
I'm texting Mark now.
So we're gonna
Who's away?
take care of this matter and we're gonna keep continuing to follow up.
Okay, I'll share it with everybody tomorrow. Whatever Mark can provide to me, I'll share with everyone tomorrow.
I really think, Jerry, if you could reach out to Joe, I know Bernie isn't there, but Joe is the one who's really responsible for this project up at Whittyfield. And
Okay.
see if you can get a hold of him. I don't know. And if you could please just keep me on the email chain so I can see what's going on, because I really do have some real concerns about what this is going to cost us.
Okay.
Well, I want to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah and a Merry Christmas. I know I sound a little frustrated, but it's only with the borough's best interest at heart. But happy holidays. I will be back next week, so for a week. So I'll touch base with everybody in person then. Well, at least David and Mark.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else? Who else? Anyone can see about the union school? Nobody?
Nope. Good.
Okay, I'm going to close the public comment. I need a motion.
I make a motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. It's in favor. Approval of minutes. Approval of minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes.
I need a second. Any second?
I'm a second.
Okay. What about all together we can do that, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All of the.
Member Liang?
Yes.
Member Begets?
Yes.
Member Kim?
Yes.
Member Di Gregorio?
Yes.
Member Sonny, member Stanley is absent.
Now, I need a motion for the payment of claims. Before starting this one, can you explain about it, the audit quantity and investments? This can lie about the issue about it. On the station review or.
So,
explain about it?
yes, so, unfortunately, we have a professional CFO here, this meeting. During last year's council meeting and after year council meeting last month, people share their concern related to the audit report 2023. The concern point, one of the major one is, do we still have some money from the government for whatever in the grant? And we fully utilized. Basically, that's the question. After the mayor council meeting, we had multiple discussions, email exchanges, and up to this point. And can you, CFO, give us from a high level overview? Let's do this kind of one before we budget for.
So at the end of 2023, there were a number of appropriated grants that remain unexpended. I will try to categorize those grants into different by functions. The first group of grants have to do with recycling, and the borough received 3 sets of recycling grants: Clean Communities Grant, Recycling Tonnage Grant. Those are done by New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. We used to get what's called a Bergen County Recycling Assistance Grant. I don't think that's active anymore. As of the end of 23, the borough was sitting on approximately $87,000 of appropriated grants that had been on the books for a number of years, way before my arrival, going back at least 7-8 years. So we were getting the grants, we were spending them, but we were not spending them to the extent that we should be spending them. I think DPW was using it to supplement his personnel by utilizing those recycling grants. Whereas, in most communities, what you would do is you will let it build up for a few years and you will spend it on a vehicle that would be used for recycling function. That would spend at least $40,000-$50,000 in one shot. So when we met at the finance committee meeting, that was the direction that, I recommended, and the committee agreed that we should utilize those funds, $87,000 and change, to get at least 1 or 2 recycling pickup trucks that can be used strictly for those, functions. In addition, once you spend those, there are a number of other recycling grants that you are incorporating into your budget tonight through Chapter 159 that will open up another pool of money for recycling that you can utilize perhaps next year. The goal is to basically not let it sit for too long. It's a grant fund, so you don't have to spend it this year that you get it. You can let it sit for a year or 2 years, or even 3 years, but the way we were sitting on it for 7, 8, 9 years, that was not really ideal. Second group of grant was New Jersey DOT grant that we received, I believe, in 2022, that has already been pledged to a project.
Yes.
Ideally, when you receive a New Jersey DOT grant, at least in my experience, in other communities, that grant alone is not sufficient to do the full project.
Right.
So the best practice for DOT grants is to incorporate that into a bond ordinance, get an engineer's estimate for the whole project. Let's just say it was $300,000-$400,000. Your grant would cover $150,000 or $200,000 of it, and you will supplement it with your own borough bonding capacity and do a bond ordinance for road improvements. In 2022, that was not done that way. That's why you see the $200,000 sitting in the grant fund versus in the capital fund. Third group of grant was the American Rescue Plan money that we were awarded during the COVID years. The borough utilized those grants strictly in 2022 and 23 through the budget process. So a number of projects were listed in the budget document, primarily public safety vehicles, fire department vehicles, and DPW equipment. Those are the 3 areas those ARP funds were planned to be spent. Bulk of it has been expended, and for the balance that remains, you have a plan in place. The requirement is by the end of the year, you are supposed to have a plan as to how you will spend those money. As long as you have obligated those funds through the budget process or any other process, you are good. You don't need to actually spend them by the end of this year.
Right.
So we are good on that front. Then there are a couple of miscellaneous grants, body armor grant that the police department utilizes when they hire new individuals. A grant alone is not sufficient to outfit an officer just by itself, so they let it build for a year or 2 or 3, and then use it for the purchase. You have a grant called Alcohol Education and Rehab Fund. You get $200, $300, which obviously is not sufficient to do any improvements to the court system. So you let that build up for a few years before you spend that money. So you're not sitting on one set of money
let's just say, I think the number that was thrown out was like $500,000. So
Yes.
you're not in that situation. You have grants that were received for specific purposes and you can only spend it for those specific purposes. Yes, there are some of those grants, we did sat on them for a little longer than what we should have. But there's a plan in place. There's a resolution tonight to purchase recycling pickup trucks that will wipe out the recycling grants. And we have already a plan in place for the DOT grants and the ARP funds.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any additional question from our council body regarding this matter?
We cleaned it.
Okay. Any question?
Yeah, the vehicles for recycle, those are pickup trucks?
Those, yes, that's what the
Okay.
intent is.
Okay, and I know that there was some talk about creating a new office in the DPW. Is that any money's going to any kind of office
Money
renovation?
should, not in the current plan, but you wanted the recycling grant money to be spent on a tangible piece of equipment or vehicle. So if somebody was to say, what did you spend that money on? You can point to something, we spent it on that, rather than an office or, personnel even gets complicated. So the best piece of advice is to basically buy equipment or vehicles.
All right, and how many pickup trucks do we have already and how many pickup trucks?
So we have 2 dedicated to recycling. They're older right now. So we're replacing those 2, not necessarily replacing. We're going to try to get a couple more years out of them. And then we've been switching to more of utility trucks like a 550 instead of a 250 or 350 pickup truck. We've been moving to a more service vehicle. In fact, one of our 550s that you approved, I think we purchased it, might have been even with ARPA money, is pulling our leaf vacuum around right now. So larger, heavier duty trucks, but they still permitted to have multiple uses.
And that's for those trucks are for picking up things that people will put out on the curb?
Yeah, so they'll put out large plastic play sets. They'll put out things of glass. So what we try to do is, because we don't have a multi-compartment trash truck, we have a single compartment trash truck.
Right.
We try to separate that smaller stuff and then bring it back with pickup trucks to the dumpsters.
Okay.
Leaf recycling is also recycling, as you know.
Right.
Right. So recycling of the leaves. And so what we'll be doing with plows is we'll be collecting now some of those. I don't know if you've seen it in other communities, but I'm not sure why we don't do it here, but we use snow plows to collect the leaves, to accumulate them, and then have, instead of having multiple spots to pick up, start, stop, we would plow half the street and then move it into a larger pile and then move on.
I've seen that in Tenafly. They
Right,
actually
so-
have a plow-like thing in
Correct,
front.
right,
and
it's like a-
will push.
Right. And so we can do that with plows as well. Right.
And we haven't done that in the past.
No, but we will be doing.
Well, that's good.
So, new
Just
techniques,
one
new features.
item to note is the only reason, fortunate or unfortunate, you are able to purchase those vehicle pickups is because you were sitting on those recycling
Right.
funds for those years. Going forward, each year you're getting $10,000-$12,000 from each program. So maximum you might get 2025, and from that, DPW is using it for recycling personnel. So you won't have this kind of money again to be able to worry about what kind of vehicles you're buying, or you should be set for at least 5-10 years, if not,
Yeah.
to utilize them.
The last pickup trucks we purchased were 12s, 2012. So it's 12 years ago that we purchased recycling
I
pickup.
think our conversation should stop, relate to item 11, payment. We need to focus on this. As some kind of pre-information, I think you explained very well. Thank you
Good.
so much.
Very
And
good.
if you want more, we can, stick with item number 11 now.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I need a motion to payment of
Make a
claims.
motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Yes. Okay, okay, please.
Member Liang,
Yes.
Member Begat,
Yes.
Member Kim,
Yes.
Member Gregorio.
Yes.
Thank you.
Uh,
Item,
Mayor, if you want, I can run through the resolutions if you want me to.
yeah, but, I would ask the council member here, anybody want to further discuss about it and then get, take it out? And then why don't you, all the one consent order?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Particularly vote on them all in one motion.
Yeah. Okay, so anybody have to further discuss about it, please. Have me right now, and then the other is going to combine all the 1% of depends on we already read about it. Yeah, basically,
Chapter 159.
Yes. So anybody have any concern, please let me know. Otherwise, we're gonna approve that 1% order. We're gonna support. It's always basically miscellaneous and
Yeah, yeah, like, from all over the map.
yes. Okay. So
Yeah, that's what I mean, yes, and the dog, very.
yeah, okay. I need a motion for consent order about this one.
So on consent, it'll be all the resolutions measured 240 to 262.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
great. Motion to do on consent.
Yes.
Second.
Member Liang,
Yes.
member Begets,
Yes.
member Kim,
Yes.
member Di Gregorio.
Yes.
Any community reports?
Yeah, I just wanna make a note that, the head of the planning board, Mr. Torino, and our, borough manager, Jerry, and the mayor, we have a meeting tomorrow. We have to find a way to communicate between the borough hall and, the planning board, if we wanna move some rules, change. So tomorrow is gonna be the first discussion, and hopefully we'll find a way to work together with the planning board.
Who is meeting at that meeting?
I will be the meeting, the mayor, Jerry and Torino.
And what time is it?
No, we decided it's gonna be just us in the beginning.
Do you have
And
the
then
time?
we'll-
I don't have the time.
Yes,
Which committee?
1
is it?
o'clock.
Which committee?
I'm the liaison with the planning board.
So I should, as a council person, I should have the
I
right to be
think,
there.
listen,
I will be there.
uh,
What time is it?
I think it's 1 o'clock. I'll look now.
Okay, I'll try to be there.
I don't think it's necessary that they attack him.
I didn't attack anybody.
You did. Right?
That's not true.
Well, it is. But you don't see what you do.
Okay, please move on next item.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else? Any reports?
Any tech committee, any new situations?
No tech committee. The only thing is we're gonna have to call the installer and see what's going on with that camera because it is blurry. Well, I don't know if it's this new Zoom but I think an expert needs to come in here. And I commend Jerry for doing a great job on this.
Yeah.
I wish
It looks like my computer's drunk.
yeah.
It's all blurry. Yeah.
So
That's what it looks like.
I don't know if it's the Zoom or what, but
We'll get to the bottom of it.
If anyone needs any help with anything, I'm glad to whatever I can do so.
Yep.
Thanks.
Good.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for your support. 2024, the resolution moving to 2025.
Happy New Year.
You and your family healthy and wonderful holidays.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Do we have a date for our next meeting?
Bye.
When is that?
Sign down is January 5th at 11 o'clock, and the reorg is at noon.
Yeah.
January
It's a
5th,
Sunday.
11 o'clock on
Yeah,
Sunday.
Motion to adjourn.
Thanks. Motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you everyone. Have a good night.